this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
With no fees or minimums on checking accounts, it's no wonder that Capital One Bank Guy is so passionate about banking with Capital One. If he were here, he wouldn't just tell you about no fees or minimums. He'd also tell you about how Capital One cafes are open 7 days a week to assist with your banking needs. Yep, even on weekends. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bankguy. Capital One N.A., member FDIC. Work can be a little weird. Cringy training seminars, coworkers who won't stop talking about their plant, forgetting the mute button at an inopportune moment. We have to deal with a lot on any given workday. Sometimes it can feel hard to thrive and move forward in your career. Well, that's where LinkedIn comes in. LinkedIn helps you get ideas and insights from experts in your field, connect with people professionally, grow your network, and access tools designed to help you find the right fit for your next role. Whether you're just getting started, figuring out your next move, or looking to accelerate your career, LinkedIn is built to support you at every stage, because LinkedIn is the network that works for you. Visit linkedin.com/knowstuff to learn more.
Hey everybody, we are going back on the road for 2018 and we are super excited because we're going to be doing brand new material, which we are certainly glad for. And if you live in Denver or Cleveland or St. Louis or Boston or Washington, D.C., then you can come see us.
Yes, you can come see us. Specifically, if you're in Boston, we're going to be at the Wilbur Theater on April 4th. And then the next night on April 5th, we're going to be in D.C. at the beloved Lincoln Theater. We love those two places, don't we, Chuck?
We sure do.
And then on the 22nd of May, we're going to be in St. Louis, Missouri for the first time ever at the pageant. And then another first for us is the next night, May 23rd. We're going to be in Cleveland, Ohio at the Ohio Theater, dude.
I'm very excited about both Cleveland and St. Louis because we wanted to add some new shows. We get a lot of support in Ohio that we know for sure and got family there, and I just can't wait.
But wait, there's more. We're going back to the Gothic Theater in Englewood, Colorado, a.k.a. right outside Denver. We're going to be there June 28th, and it's going to be nuts. We're going to have a great time at all these. So we want you to come see us. You can go to thewilbur.com. You can go to Ticketfly for the DC show. You can go to Ticketmaster for the St. Louis show. Search us on playhousesquare.org for the Ohio Theater Cleveland show. And then lastly, AXS.com to search for us at the Gothic Theater. And we will see you guys very soon.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know from HowStuffWorks.com.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh Clark with Charles W. Chuck Bryant and Jerry Rowland. And this is Stuff You Should Know. Because you put the three of us together, roll us up in a paper, add a match to the mix, you've got one great podcast.
Or throw us all in a snifter.
Okay.
Swirl us around.
Right.
And then we're an aperitif.
That's nice. And why not just... Why decide? Why choose one over the other, right?
Because then we would kill each other in a car.
Yeah, we would. Well, let's start legitimately here, Chuck. First of all, how are you?
Great.
Good. Okay, I am too. But let's start even more legitimately than that. Let's get in the Wayback Machine, okay?
I live in this thing.
No.
Emily kicked me out, so I've been living in the Wayback Machine for a few weeks now.
It's with your dog.
Huh? Just one of them, though. She only gave me one of the dogs.
It's kind of gamey in here, you know.
It is.
Okay, well, we're in Chuck's repurposed Wayback Machine. And we're just going, just for a second, Chuck, we're going back to 2014.
Great.
And we're going to go to New York City, and we're going to buy a New Yorker magazine. Okay, and now we can go back to 2018. Okay, and we're going to flip open this New Yorker magazine, and oh, look, Chuck, it's an interview with then President Barack Obama. Do you remember him?
I do.
So in 2014, Obama gave this interview to New Yorker, and he really kind of created a bit of a stir. I mean, since he first ran in 2008, everybody knew he smoked pot. There were pictures of it. Like, he never denied it. He admitted to smoking pot. But this interview in 2014 really just changed things, because in it, Obama said that he did not believe that his pot smoking was anything really worse than his bad cigarette habit, and that he didn't think that it was more dangerous than alcohol.
Right.
Which is really saying something, because I mean, like, you know, as teenagers have been saying for decades and decades now, it's crazy that something like alcohol can be bought like at any corner store, at drugstores in some states.
Yeah, grocery stores.
And that like you can drink it as long as you're 21 and get in your car and drive up to a certain limit, but pot is totally illegal in most states still. And Obama was saying, kind of throwing down the gauntlet, saying, you know, I don't, in a very roundabout way, he was saying, I don't know that that's necessarily right, that pot should be illegal and you should be able to buy alcohol anywhere because pot's not as bad as booze.
Yeah, which was, man, times have really changed in our, you know, in the past like 20 years, because I remember when Clinton, it was such a scandal that he had inhaled and
no, he didn't inhale, remember?
Well, the thing came out and he said, well, I tried to and I couldn't.
He was just a liar, man.
Well, who knows? That may have been true. I just think my reaction was, oh, well, that just means you're super lame.
You don't know what you're doing, Bill.
But it was just such a scandal. And then, I mean, here we are now where, you know, state after state is legalizing recreational marijuana.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting to see that change happen.
Not even like medicinal marijuana anymore. That was like the gateway legislation. Now it's like straight up, you want to smoke pot to get high just for fun? You can do that. Let's see, Chuck. So it started with Washington and Colorado, right?
I think, were they the first two?
They were.
Okay.
Back in 2014. And just since 2014, you've now got Oregon, California, Vermont, Washington, D.C., Nevada, Massachusetts, Maine, Alaska, and Washington State.
Well, Washington State
Washington
was the first,
State.
right?
Yeah. It was the state so nice, I said it twice.
Or maybe they just super, like when you reaffirm your wedding vows.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they doubled down a few years later and said, this is so great. We just want to like legalize it again.
Right. I think they did do that in Washington. We were there recently for live shows, and I can tell you they definitely renewed their vows with pot.
Yeah, we were in San Francisco, Colorado, or we're going to be in Colorado, and then Washington and Oregon. So, and we're going to Massachusetts. I guess we just need to hit Nevada, and we're going to D.C.
Yeah.
Nevada, Maine, and Alaska, and it will be the Stuff You Should Know Up and Smoke Tour.
We need t-shirts for that one.
Not that we would ever do that.
No, but we could still make t-shirts that suggest it.
Yeah, and my funny joke on stage in San Francisco, we were there literally the weekend that the first recreational pot shops opened, and the joke was San Francisco day after, exactly like San Francisco was the day before.
Yeah.
No change.
That killed.
Yeah, it was all right.
Oh, they loved it. So the upshot of all of this is that with all these states like legalizing marijuana, the comparison between pot and alcohol has kind of become less of a stoner conversation. Like it's actually a legitimate academic discussion nowadays.
It has to be.
There's a lot of different things that come into play. Before it was kind of like, well, ultimately it doesn't matter because Uncle Sam, well, actually Tricky Dick says that it's illegal. So it's illegal. So it doesn't really matter if it's worse for you or not. It's way worse to be put into jail than it is to be tipsy off of alcohol and maybe risk cirrhosis of the liver, right?
Yes.
So that ended all conversations there. But as that conversation ender has kind of fallen away, the conversation's kind of opened up. So I guess what we're doing here today is doing the best we can at putting the conversation to rest, even though now that we've dived into it, we've seen that the conversation is very far from being put to rest.
Yeah, and this one's there are a lot of stats. It's a very stat-heavy episode, which is fun. But the first thing we should point out is that in terms of marijuana, because it was illegal, there hasn't been a lot of funding thrown at studies over the years because, like you said, it's like, why bother? It's illegal. We're not going to put our resources towards studying it. Right. Now they kind of have to. But the long and short of it is we are still and will be for many years gathering data on what pot does to the body, how dangerous it is. But early results clearly indicate, at least in the short term, and we're going to run the gamut here, but in the short term, you can start a night out having fun drinking and end up dead hours later just from the alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm not saying by getting in a car or jumping off a building.
Yeah.
Like all those things can happen too. But you can drink yourself to death in hours.
Yeah, so the CDC put out like a very famous statistic now, that said that every year in the United States, about 88,000 people die from alcohol every year. And that's all alcohol related deaths, like liver disease, car crashes,
right,
all of that. But about half of those are from binge drinking.
Yeah.
Which is drinking usually for men about 5 or more drinks. And for women, I think it's like 3 or more drinks within 2 hours or something like that. And then going on. And once you start to get to that point, you start to run an increasing risk of alcohol poisoning.
Yeah. I mean, your body cannot process alcohol fast enough. Like you can drink past that amount. Like I said, such that, I mean, you hear sad stories about the kid in college who literally died from drinking one night.
Yep.
That cannot be said of marijuana.
Well, it depends.
Well, no, it doesn't depend.
No, it does.
I think it's literally impossible to consume as much marijuana as you would have to consume over a period of hours to die from it.
Okay. Yes. Absolutely. You're right. It doesn't depend. That's true. Like, and there's a lot of people who, point to that statistic where they basically say 88,000 people die a year, from alcohol. 0 people die a year from marijuana. That's not necessarily true. But if you're talking about overdosing, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Like people don't overdose and die from marijuana.
Many have tried.
Sure. Especially Cheech and Chong. But the amount of THC you would have to ingest is so much more than you could possibly take under normal circumstances that you're just not going to. So like,
yeah, what are the numbers here? To
figure this out, well, you're stat man. I just want to set up that we used High Times as a source for this episode. Cause we're like, okay, so how much THC is in pot and how much does that break down to depending on whether you smoke a bowl or smoke a joint or eat an edible? And we said, well, who would know more than anyone else? And it turns out it's High Times.
Yeah, so here's the thing with pot too. It really varies according to who you are, how much you typically ingest, how strong the pot is. Mm-hmm. But are we going to go with these numbers here? 18% THC,
which I think is fairly average these days, which is super high, but that's normal. It's a normal amount in pot, I think.
That's about 180 milligrams per gram of marijuana.
Right.
And if people don't know, THC is the active ingredient that gets you high in the marijuana plant.
Yeah.
And
what is it? Delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol.
Oh, you just read the tattoo on your forearm.
Yeah. It's misspelled, as you can see.
I always wonder what that was. Here's the thing though. You lose THC when it's burned, about 60%. Mm-hmm. And trust me, marijuana users have tried to lower that number as much as possible over the years.
And to some success, like supposedly with the vaporizer, you lose a lot less because you're not actually burning the THC, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are all manner of ways to ingest marijuana now. Partially because of, I mean, there always were, but partially because of this recreational, and I always wondered what that would look like if it was legalized because, you know, I've been to Amsterdam and stuff and I thought, well, is it going to be like that where you have marijuana in jars and like they call them bud tenders, which is so stupid.
That is stupid.
Or I thought, well, no, it's America. I bet you anything is going to be like a cigarette pack that's highly manufactured, but just joints. And it turns out it's sort of not either. I mean, it's very on the up and up. Like I've been into one of those stores just to look around and it's like visiting any coffee or tea shop. You know, it's all it's not just dudes with a bag that they throw into another bag.
Right.
You know?
They pull it out of their sock.
I guess so. I guess it's my way of saying it's, the recreational pot shops that I've seen have been very professional and everything is very packaged and it's just like any other commodity.
So did you walk in and go, are you the bud tender? I'm from Hotlanta.
I'm doing a story for a podcast.
So depending on how you ingest the pot.
Right.
Especially whether you're burning it or not, you're going to lose some THC. But if you burn it, you lose about 60%. So if you have 180 milligram per gram THC, it's suddenly down to 72 milligrams per gram.
Okay.
And if you're smoking a half a gram joint, let's say you're even smoking a 1 gram joint.
Okay.
And you're getting 72 milligrams of THC from that joint, you're still immensely shy and on the level of orders of magnitude different of how much it would take to overdose on THC.
Yeah, I mean, I think the number in here is a minimum of like 150 joints you would have to smoke by yourself over a very short period of time.
Yeah, because so you're getting 72 milligrams in that joint of THC, but it would take something like at least 15 grams of THC to overdose. So yes, you would have to smoke hundreds of joints in basically a day to start to build up enough THC in your bloodstream that you overdosed fatally from.
I'm trying to picture the study, like being behind the one-way glass and the guy being like, how many is this? And they're like, 110. And he's like, I can't do it anymore. Like that's why you would not overdose. There's just no way.
Yeah, for sure. I would imagine you'd fall asleep or get bored or forget what you were doing or whatever.
I think it'd be more likely that you would have to eat like a triple layer cake made entirely of marijuana.
So I'm glad you said that because edibles are different and they're different in a couple of ways. One way they're different is that they don't burn. You're not burning the THC. So you're not necessarily losing a bunch of it.
Right.
You also can eat more of it than, say, you're smoking of it, as far as THC is concerned.
Yeah.
So you can definitely increase like how much THC you're getting by eating it rather than smoking it. But the other thing about edibles is that your body does something differently with them. And that is that when you're smoking marijuana, you're introducing THC in its normal form from your lungs to your heart to your brain. THC can cross that blood-brain barrier, but, it's not the greatest at it. It's kind of hit or miss, right? When you ingest THC, where you eat it, like an edible, it goes through your digestive system, and that THC is metabolized. It's broken down into by the liver and then sent into the bloodstream. Well, what the metabolized version does is it's much better at crossing the blood-brain barrier. So you get a much more powerful high from eating an edible, and you get a higher dose of THC, even though it's this THC metabolite. So eating edibles is different, and it is possible that it would bring you closer, statistically speaking, increase your risk of coming near a fatal dose of THC. But again, still, like the amount you would have to eat is ridiculously high.
Yeah, and I think most of the cases of since recreational has been introduced of, oh my God, I have to go to the emergency room, have been people that ate too much pot.
Yeah. And also one of the other big problems with edibles, well, there's two of them. One is that people eat too much because it takes like hours to kick in.
Right. And they're like, oh, I'm not feeling anything. Let me have 4 more.
Yeah, which is a real problem with those things. And then secondly, also kids tend to get into edibles more than they, find your pot and roll a joint, which is dangerous because they have lower body mass and their fatal dose or whatever could cause them health problems it's a much lower threshold for a small kid.
Yeah, for sure. Which is, scary.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure.
All right. Well, so we've covered the OD aspect.
Well, do you want to take a break?
All right. Let's take a break. Let's try to decide. Let's take a break. We'll come right back after this.
All right.
Hey everybody, here's a fact for you. In the United States, there is a break-in every 26 seconds, and that means that somewhere right now, an intruder is getting closer. And the problem with most security systems is that they only alert you after the break-in has started, and that's too late.
Well, that's what makes SimpliSafe different. They use alerts. SimpliSafe's US-based live agents, they identify threats on your property and help deter them before they actually break in. So the intruder never gets into your house. The crime is stopped before it even starts.
That's right. And another great thing about SimpliSafe is they have no long-term contracts. They give you peace of mind and great value with their monitoring deterrence plans because they just start at about $1 a day.
Yeah, SimpliSafe sent us a setup years back, and I still use mine every day.
Yeah, and apparently setup, you can do it by yourself in under 30 minutes. So it's a really good value and it doesn't take long.
So if you want to experience the SimpliSafe peace of mind, you can take advantage of the SimpliSafe discount offered to Stuff You Should Know listeners. Right now, you can get 50% off your new system by visiting simplisafe.com/stuff. That's half off at simplisafe.com/stuff. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. You know, it's hard to believe that the first phone call ever happened over 150 years ago. Just think about that, Chuck.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And I'm Gen X, so I grew up talking on the phone with my friends in high school and stuff, and it was a really fond memory.
And over all these years and all these phone calls, AT&T has been there, connecting people in meaningful ways. And this is more than a story of technological innovation. It's a story of human connection.
That's right. Over that 150 years, there's been a lot of connection with people, whether it was me in high school or family connecting with one another long distance or those long distance relationships. And AT&T has been there for it all. Connecting changes everything. AT&T.
All right, so we covered the OD thing, like I said before the break.
I feel like that's settled now.
It's settled law. So here's the other thing with alcohol is that the way it reacts and interacts with other drugs is significantly more different than marijuana. Most people know this, but that's why on your prescription bottles, they say things like, don't drink when you take this, because depending on what the drug is, whether it's painkillers or meds for your mental well-being. You can either end up having a higher dose of that or a lower dose, depending on what it is, how much you've had to drink. And that's always scary because we've seen all over the place people accidentally overdosing by combining prescription drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. I mean, if you get a lower dose and it's medicine you really need,
that's bad too. Sure.
It's just as bad. And it's because alcohol is either exciting all of the enzymes in your liver and they metabolize the medicine faster than it's designed to be, so you get a big dose, or they hog all of the enzymes and the medicine just kind of passes through your liver unmetabolized and you don't get the dose you're looking for. Either way, it's not good for you.
Yeah. And like this article that you put together points out, though, we should mention that marijuana, though, can impair your coordination. So there is a risk of, just literally getting hurt because you're uncoordinated.
Yeah.
You may trip over your coffee table and fall into your couch or your papasan.
Or your lava lamp.
You don't want to go headfirst into a lava lamp.
No.
That's bad.
Yeah.
I know we're making light, but seriously, that is a risk. Or just your, unprotected sex because your inhibitions are lowered, although same can be said for alcohol.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And I think this article does say it's just in a different spot. But yeah, your judgment can be impaired too, which can lead to all manner of indirect effects, which might seem like, oh, that doesn't count. But actually, they very much do count because you wouldn't have otherwise made those decisions if you hadn't been drunk or stoned.
Correct.
So they count for sure.
Yeah.
So those are some of the short-term health effects from drinking, death. But there's long-term ones too that come on, and this is where that literature or the lack of literature studying pot really kind of comes into play, because we've been studying alcohol and the effects of alcohol for so long now. We have it pretty well licked that alcohol is really, really bad for you if you drink heavily, but strangely kind of good for you if you drink in moderate amounts. With pot, we just don't know. There hasn't been enough study. And part of the problem, like you were saying, is it was illegal. And since it was illegal, it was kind of difficult to get your hands on study participants because they, didn't want to tell you that they smoked pot and maybe have that go on any kind of permanent record or something.
Yeah. I mean, for alcohol, the obvious physical effects, it's tough on your liver, and alcoholic liver disease is a real thing that can progress from early stages fibrosis to eventual liver cancer. And they don't really know exactly the mechanism for why some people can drink heavily well into their old age and not have any liver damage, or maybe some liver damage, but not die of liver cancer.
Right.
And then other people are at much higher risk. They don't fully get that.
I mean, it's just got to be genetics, right? Anytime that comes up and they're like, well, we have no idea why these people are subject to it and other people aren't. It's got to be genetics.
Yeah, like why is Keith Richards alive?
I don't know. Medical science will never explain that.
He should totally donate his body to science.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, he really should, actually. It's like a legitimate, jokey thing to say, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got alcohol messing with your liver. With pot, they're kind of like, okay, well, if you're a chronic pot user, what's the problem? And
chronic pot user?
Yeah.
Or chronic pot user?
Chronic pot user. I think that's the way you would say it.
Yeah.
So with a chronic pot user, and it's defined differently, which I think is another thing that kind of makes the literature on the topic kind of difficult to study too, is I don't think there's a universal, this is what a chronic pot user is. I think each study defines it for itself.
Yeah.
But for a long time, there was some literature that said that smoking pot lowers your sperm count. But almost all of those were from the 70s and 80s. And all of these studies referred to pot as grass. So no one took them seriously at all, right?
Yeah.
But in 2015, there was a Danish study that really kind of updated the literature, and they found that there was a 28% decrease in sperm count among chronic pot smokers, and they define chronic pot smokers as men who smoked more than one joint a week, which is there's a lot of people who smoke pot smoke more than one joint a week. Okay, so they have found a decrease in sperm production. That's definitely a thing.
All right. Well, there's the psychological and mental health issues at stake too. And again, not as much literature as we need. Like this show 10 years from now would be very different, I think.
Well, we should revisit it 10 years from now.
Totally agree. So yeah, even if we retire in 5 years, we'll come back 10 years from now to do the marijuana one-off special.
There you go.
It's like getting Friends back together.
That'd be cool. I get to be Rachel.
Oh, you're always Rachel.
I know. I've got the haircut.
So it's funny. The Omnibus podcast did an entire episode on the Rachel.
I saw that.
So with mental health issues, for a long time, they weren't really sure whether teenagers who had mental health issues smoked pot to deal with it, or maybe like something like bipolar doesn't really come on until your mid-teens anyway. Maybe pot could trigger that, or depression, or something if it is laying dormant inside of you. But recently they have done a little more studying, and they do think that it can, in your earlier years, exacerbate these mental health disorders.
Yeah.
If you are like predisposed.
Right. Which is, that's kind of a significant finding too, although it makes sense intuitively, because like when you are a teenager, your brain is still developing, and pot has been shown to change your cognitive development. So it would make sense that if there's a biological basis for some mental health issues like depression or bipolar or schizophrenia, that it would stand to reason that pot could have some effect on that. And they finally have said, yes, we generally concede that pot probably makes mental health or predisposition to mental health issues worse in adolescence, which is sad. And it's significant too, because at least in the U.S., pot use peaks among kids who are age 18.
Oh,
And then
really?
it starts to taper off, or it tapers off fully by the mid-20s in most people. Yeah, so the majority of people who smoke pot in the U.S. are teenagers anyway, but these studies are starting to show that the last people who should be smoking pot are teenagers because it can affect their brain development, make them less than sharp.
Yeah, I wonder about those numbers. Those seem dubious to me.
The 18, peak
Yeah.
at 18 and taper off in mid-20s, yeah.
And I'm not just thinking of Willie Nelson here.
He's
Although
skewing the results.
He does skew the results, for sure.
You have to weight him differently because he smokes a lot of pot.
That's what I hear. With pot, obviously, although things are a little bit different these days with, like you said, vaporizing and edibles and stuff like that. But in the olden days when everybody just smoked it, bronchitis, obviously, and just various lung air passage issues is sort of an obvious risk. Although they are now thinking that the newest data says that marijuana smoke doesn't affect the body like tobacco smoke does.
Mm-hmm. And they have no idea why.
No.
It just doesn't make sense to them. And they're like, well, they've started to wonder if pot has some sort of protective chemical in it that just kind of, gives the lungs a glass of milk and tucks them in after it's after it's done being passed through there.
Well, yeah, and it's also tough because to do studies, like a lot of times people may also smoke cigarettes who smoke marijuana
Right.
Regularly. And again, with the illegality, it's kind of tough to get good data on this.
Yep. And then, Chuck, pregnancy is another thing. You can kind of put pot and alcohol head to head with pregnancy. And apparently neither one is particularly good. Although the studies are much clearer on alcohol being bad for pregnant women to drink than pot smoking. But there's, again, from the CDC, there's a pretty famous statistic that 3.3 million women are at risk in the U.S. of exposing their baby to alcohol. And what they're saying, their point is that even if you drink just in the first few weeks of being pregnant, it can lead to what's called fetal alcohol spectrum disorders.
Yeah.
Like cognitive, behavioral, physical development disorders from drinking alcohol while you're pregnant, even in the first few weeks. And so that 3.3 million women number, that's like binders full of women. It basically says that is the number of women in the U.S. the CD estimates have stopped using birth control, but haven't stopped using or haven't stopped drinking.
Right.
So those two things could conceivably cross over for a couple of weeks, and in which it could lead to fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. And they're saying, like, despite, what you hear that, a glass of wine isn't bad for you, or every once in a while or something while you're pregnant, apparently the literature combined says, no, there's really no safe level of alcohol to drink while you're pregnant.
Well, here's the deal is they don't fully know. Like I did some digging because I know outside of the United States, there's generally a more relaxed attitude, at least in some countries. It says here that, and this is from an NPR article, 2015 study found that alcohol consumption ranged from 20% to 80% in Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, and the UK. Sometimes it was just like a glass of champagne at a special event. Sometimes it was a glass of wine and once a night or once a week in the third trimester. Sometimes
it was 20 cc's of Golden Grain injected into their neck.
So this one group did Luisa Zuccolo. She's a health epidemiologist at Bristol. Did a study recently, and she found that consuming up to 32 grams of alcohol per week, that's 2 to 3 drinks, was associated with a 10% increased risk of preterm birth.
Yeah.
Only.
Okay.
But here's the deal is in America, they basically say, listen, we don't know for sure the threshold of exactly when and how and at what point in the pregnancy these effects can occur. But we do know this. If you don't drink, you have a 100% chance of not having a risk of fetal alcohol spectrum disorder.
Right.
And why don't we all just err on the side of caution and wait for that 9 months.
Well, but that's like a ticklish situation for us dudes to be in, Chuck, because, you know, that's a real drag. Just be like, just don't drink for 9 months. I'm going to go have a beer, but you don't drink. Okay.
Sure. Some husbands quit drinking as a show of support or cut back.
I think that is definitely what should be done.
Yeah. I mean, I think people should do what that works best for them, but,
sure, but if your wife or your SO is not going to drink while she's pregnant, then you should not either.
I hear your take on that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I'll say it again at the end. I'll circle back up.
My take is people should do what works best for them as a couple.
Right.
And I'll also say this: when you adopt a kid, neither one of you have to stop drinking.
Right. Problem solved.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
With marijuana during pregnancy, they don't know for sure, exactly how that can affect cognitive impairment, but they do think that they have found some, cognitive impairment results from fetal exposure.
Right.
But again, they don't have like thresholds. I mean, I've heard some doctors say we would rather, a mother smoke a little pot if she has a lot of anxiety or potentially depression during her pregnancy than hopping on pills or having a drink. But again, that's not like some official doctor recommendation. It's very anecdotal.
It's like an anonymous comment from a doctor who will go unnamed.
Exactly.
So, I also saw that some studies have found, they have linked low birth weight to marijuana use in pregnancy too.
Right.
So yeah, the upshot is what did you say? The couples should do what they think is best?
Well, I mean, that's my rule. Your rule is everyone follow my rule.
Yeah, right. So, there's also, a big distinction between pot and, drinking, Chuck, when it comes to crime too, like a big one. This is probably the clearest line of all.
And kind of funny.
Yeah.
Well, not funny, but the predicted result is a little amusing to me because they did find in 2014 that the average marijuana user, as far as partner violence, intimate partner violence goes, is actually lower overall than people who don't even drink or do drink. It's lower than everybody.
Right. So like if you were just a normal, who doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, you're like a Ned Flanders type. Statistically speaking, in the first 9 years of marriage, you're more likely to commit violence against your partner than a person who smokes pot regularly. It's hilarious. It is funny. Like, you gotta look at it in a certain light and just kind of divorce yourself from the partner violence thing.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, nothing about that is funny. I just picture like the stoned person on the couch being like, well, no, of course I'm not going to get mad and hit you.
Right. Why I forgot what I ought to do.
Yeah.
So on the other end of the spectrum, alcohol is linked to a surprising and alarming amount of crime.
Yes.
The Department of Justice says that alcohol is a factor in 40% of the violent crime in the United States. And there was a survey of 2 million convicted offenders who were currently in jail at the time of the survey. 37% said they were drinking at the time they committed their crime.
Yeah,
So,
I bet for partner violence too, I bet it's way higher even.
it is. That was the highest one, was men drinking, but also women drinking too.
Yeah.
They had a higher, those are, I believe, were the two highest incidences of intimate partner violence in the first 9 years of marriage.
If the show Cops can anecdotally tell a tale,
Yeah.
is that 100% of the home visits where the husband and wife are both bombed and pushing each other around is, that's kind of like every episode of Cops, basically.
Yep. It's definitely got that one.
I still watch that show every now and then. Emily gets so upset at me.
It's on all the time still.
I know.
It's like Golden Girls.
Sometimes I'll catch a little bit of one and just remember like, oh, I used to watch this in college and think it was a hoot. Mm-hmm. And then part of me is like so depressing. It's so depressing watching it that I can't even, watch for 5 minutes.
Man, I tweeted the other day that I used to think humanity was on the whole like generally decent and good. And then I started watching a lot of Forensic Files.
Yeah, I should watch that.
I don't think you should, man. It really will kind of change the way you look at people. That people do some really bad stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really depressing. You just kind of lose a measure of faith in humanity because the way that the show presents it too is so like matter of fact, this happened and, you know, this person picked up a rock and beat their friend over the head and then took their $5.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. You want to take a break? We need to reset, I think.
Yeah, let's take a break and we'll talk about driving while intoxicated right after this.
Hey everybody, here's a fact for you. In the United States, there is a break-in every 26 seconds, and that means that somewhere right now, an intruder is getting closer. And the problem with most security systems is that they only alert you after the break-in has started, and that's too late.
Well, that's what makes SimpliSafe different. They use alerts. SimpliSafe's US-based live agents, they identify threats on your property and help deter them before they actually break in. So the intruder never gets into your house. The crime is stopped before it even starts.
That's right. And another great thing about SimpliSafe is they have no long-term contracts. They give you peace of mind and great value with their monitoring deterrence plans because they just start at about $1 a day.
Yeah, SimpliSafe sent us a setup years back, and I still use mine every day.
Yeah, and apparently setup, you can do it by yourself in under 30 minutes, so it's a really good value and it doesn't take long.
So if you want to experience the SimpliSafe peace of mind, you can take advantage of the SimpliSafe discount offered to Stuff You Should Know listeners. Right now, you can get 50% off your new system by visiting simplisafe.com/stuff. That's half off at simplisafe.com/stuff. There's no safe like SimpliSafe. You know, it's hard to believe that the first phone call ever happened over 150 years ago. Just think about that, Chuck.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And I'm Gen X, so I grew up talking on the phone with my friends in high school and stuff, and it was a really fond memory.
And you know, over all these years and all these phone calls, AT&T has been there, connecting people in meaningful ways. And this is more than a story of technological innovation. It's a story of human connection.
That's right. Over that 150 years, there's been a lot of connection with people, whether it was me in high school or family connecting with one another long distance or those long distance relationships. And AT&T has been there for it all. Connecting changes everything. AT&T.
All right, we're back. Here's the deal with driving drunk and stoned. For sure, you shouldn't be doing either. We're not endorsing either one. But the statistics and studies roundly say that when you are drinking, you are way more likely to be like, I can take this curve. It's 80. Oh, I'm fine to drive. Mm-hmm. And people that are stoned that are like, I need to be super careful because I'm a little high right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be extra careful and drive even slower than I should.
Yeah.
Like, that is what the studies show.
Yeah, and the differences are so pronounced that you can look at fatal accident statistics and see that in some areas, the legalization of pot has actually brought the number of traffic deaths down in those states.
Yeah.
And they think that the reason why is because people are drinking less and smoking pot more, and that when you smoke pot, you are you're not a safer driver necessarily, although some studies show that you actually are safer than people who aren't impaired. That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
But you're a safer impaired driver for sure. But I think you said something very, very true. You shouldn't be driving stoned or drunk. That's
right.
Just because you're taking your own life in your hands. You're also taking the lives of everybody else out on the road on your hands, and shame on you for that.
Yeah, but I found it very interesting that some of these studies roundly say that a person stoned is way more likely to say, hey, you know what? I'm stoned. and I need to be super careful. And a person drinking will say, I'm fine. Give me the keys. I'm fine.
Yeah, no, for sure. So like there's two different ways that being impaired and driving affect you, whether you're stoned and whether you're drunk.
Yes.
And what tends to happen is if you're drunk and you're driving, you typically act more impulsively, more aggressively, more recklessly, which are three things that really go poorly with driving.
Yes.
So you're going to tailgate more, you're going to pass people more, you're going to speed more, you're going to just be an aggressive driver, but also one whose reaction times are not as good as they are normally, right?
Right.
When you're stoned, however, the general idea among scientists who are just beginning to study this stuff over the last few years is that you tend to overestimate how impaired you are. Where you've smoked some pot, you feel stoned, now you've gotten behind the wheel of the car, and you're a little freaked out, to be frank. You are worried that you're going to get pulled over, that you're going to cause a wreck, and so you're actually overcompensating for your impairment because you're overestimating the amount of impairment you have, and so you're going to drive slower.
Yeah.
Like much slower sometimes.
Yeah, that the one dude in the article said the joke is Cheech and Chong driving 20 on the expressway.
Yeah, there's this study that just is hilarious to me that in driving simulators, these people who were conducting the study had to remind the stoned drivers to keep up to the speed limit. Like they kept dropping below the speed limit. They also tend to give more distance between the next car and their car, even when compared to non-impaired drivers.
Yeah, and the one thing that I found remarkable was that when they did the simulated experiments, people under the influence of marijuana performed worse than they did in the real driving experiment. So in other words, in the room with the simulator, they might have goofed up some, but when they actually got behind the wheel, they again turned on some switch that was like, all right, got to be super careful.
Right.
So interesting.
Yeah, and even more to the point, if you take the individual things that driving requires, like coordination, paying attention, reaction time, if you test those things individually outside of the context of driving, people who smoke pot routinely do worse on those things. But again, yeah, when they get behind the wheel, it's like it's serious time for people who smoke pot. So the thing about that, though, is that the studies find that that's true up to a certain point.
Yeah.
That when you pass a certain level of impairment, then all of a sudden your chances of being responsible for a fatal accident go up dramatically.
Yeah.
And what they found is that point correlates possibly to a THC content in your blood of about 5 parts per billion or 5 nanograms per liter.
Yes.
Which is it's a very controversial number. It's a controversial amount.
Well, and it's, at this point, like a breathalyzer, we did a show on breathalyzers. That was a tough one.
Yeah. Remember how complicated those things are?
Yeah. That was very technical and tough, but
there's like a magical crystal involved in them.
But with the breathalyzer, like you can tell when someone is literally drunk at that moment. With marijuana, you're doing blood and urine tests, that shows that you have marijuana in your system. If you are a heavy marijuana user, you could be stone cold sober and show marijuana in your system.
Yeah.
So they don't really have a foolproof way of testing, like pulling someone off the street from behind the wheel of a car and seeing if they were stoned at that moment.
So and that's one of the reasons why some states are starting to adopt that 5 parts per billion threshold, because apparently studies find that if you're a regular smoker and you got a bunch of THC in your body that's accumulated, but you haven't smoked recently, you're not going to be over 5 parts per billion.
That's the thinking, yeah. Okay.
And then the other one is that statistic that says that your chances of being in a fatal crash increase dramatically at over 5 parts per billion. So that's why some states are adopting it. But some other studies, especially ones out of Europe, are like, whoa, that is way too high a limit. It should be more like 1 part per billion.
Yeah. I think they're trying to land on the right number.
They definitely are. I think Sweden is adopting a 1 part per billion limit. and they're apparently famous for being really strict about impaired driving. So they kind of set the trend on the one end of the spectrum, whereas the U.S. kind of edges toward the other end of the spectrum. Like with blood alcohol content, I think the legal limit in most states is 0.08%, which is about, I think for like a 180-pound man, that's like 3 or 4 drinks in an hour. And I mean, 3 or 4 drinks in an hour and getting behind a car, that is a lot. You're not driving very well. It's like an arbitrarily high number if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Part of the other problem too with testing for whether somebody's impaired by pot or reached some limit or threshold is that there's no real reliable way for testing it on the side of the road, including that roadside field sobriety test.
Yeah.
Where they make you stand on one foot. They make you walk heel to toe and then turn around. And I think there's a third part to it too. And that's actually really good at catching drunk people. It catches like 88% of people who are drunk at the time, but it only catches like 30% of people who are stoned. So the cops are starting to come up against these new laws where you're allowed to smoke pot, but how much is too much to get behind the wheel of a car, and there's no real guidance, and they don't really have any way of testing. And again, like you said, in 10 years, all of this will be resolved, but for the time being, it's kind of like the Wild West as far as driving while impaired by pot legislation is concerned.
Yeah, I got pulled over coming home from college to Atlanta one time. Only time I've ever had like a field sobriety test done on me. And he flat out asked me, he's like, Mr. Bryant, have you been smoking marijuana? After he put me through it, because he did the thing where you follow the finger with your eyeballs.
Yeah, that's the third part.
And I think I'm not sure what's supposed to happen. Like your eyeball twitches or something once it reaches the edge.
I think it bounces up and down while it's going left to right.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure. All I know is he told me, keep your head forward and follow with your eyes. And I turned my head and followed his finger. And I was nothing. I was sober as a judge, and I was just nervous because I'd never been pulled over on the side of the road and told to walk a line. Yeah. And he finally just asked me. I was like, no. Like 19, I was just scared.
Yeah.
And eventually he was like, all right, get in your VW Beetle and drive home.
Did you take the tack of crying to get out of the ticket?
No, I cried on the inside.
Okay.
Which, I don't think he noticed. It was just interesting. I've never, that's the only time in my life I've ever been pulled over and given that test. And it was, even if you're sober, it's a little nerve-wracking.
Sure, yeah. Well, it's like that white coat syndrome where your blood pressure goes up at the doctor's office because you're anxious for being at the doctor's office.
I know. I remember going like, in my brain, heel toe.
Right.
I was like, wait a minute. This is no problem.
Yeah.
My balance is never good, officer. Wonder if that ever works.
Or ossifer.
Yeah.
It's always fun to throw that in, but be totally sober.
Right. Just go ahead and sit in the back of that police car after that one.
So you got anything else?
No, I mean, we should point out that, another factor with drinking and driving is, you drink at a bar a lot of times, whereas they think predominantly if you're smoking pot, you're probably in your home. So you're not driving. There are all sorts of other factors that go into these big statistical studies, but we're just at the eve. We're mere babies as a country when it comes to marijuana legislation and study.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see where it goes. I'll see you in 10 years.
Yeah, I'll see you in 10, man. Okay. Well, in the meantime, you can look up, there's not this article on How Stuff Works. You can just look up pot versus alcohol, and it'll bring up a lot of great stuff. We worked off of some stuff from Popular Science, from Slate, actually there's a How Stuff Works article now that I think about it.
High Times.
Live Science, High Times, some good resources out there. Just hit them up.
WillieNelson.com.
Yep. And in the meantime, since Chuck said Willie Nelson, it's time for listener mail.
This is overlap of podcasts. I don't think I've read this one yet.
Okay.
Hey guys, my name is Neil. I enjoy listening to Stuff You Should Know and Stuff You Missed in History Class.
And roller skating and long walks on the beach.
Sometimes I've heard the same subject get daylight on both of your programs, though. Very recently, you guys did a Mary Celeste episode. And if I recall, Holly and Tracy did the same story not too long ago. Josh mentioned to Chuck about the woman who painted miniature crime scenes, and so did they. My question is whether or not we ever swap notes on subjects, cross-reference each other's work, where there might be overlap. It could be nice. Even set up different situations where each podcast looks at the same subject through a different angle. Anyway, it might be a good thing to introduce to the other podcasts to someone who's not listening to it. Keep up the good work. That is from Neil in Washington, D.C. And Neil, I think we've answered this years ago, but I was about to say we try not to overlap, but no one really pays much attention internally, and it just happens sometimes. And the only time it's ever been like, oh, shoot, is when it's literally within like a few weeks of each other. Then we might have wished we would have timed it differently, but we always feel like all the different shows bring different things to the table, and so it's really not a big deal. But we definitely don't check with each other or share notes or anything. We're all in our own little bubbles.
Yep. But also, I mean, if we are aware that one of the other podcasts has already done something, like that doesn't preclude us from doing it ourselves, and we would probably mention it if we were aware of it, like go check out their version of it too, because it's always so different enough that it's usually worth listening to both, you know?
Agreed.
Okay, well, if you want to get in touch with us, you can tweet to us. There's an official Stuff You Should Know one called SYSK Podcast. I've got my own called Josh Clark. I also have a website called areyouserious.clark.com. Chuck is on Facebook at Charles W. Chuck Bryant. That's facebook.com/Charles W. Chuck Bryant. You can also hit him up on facebook.com/Stuff You Should Know. You can send all of us, including Jerry, an email to stuffpodcast@howstuffworks.com. And as always, join us at our home on the web, stuffyoushouldknow.com.
For more on this and thousands of other topics, visit howstuffworks.com.
Hey, quick question for the parents listening right now. When's the last time your kid asked for something and you actually felt good saying yes? Because lately, a lot of families have been hearing the same thing. Can I have Lingo Kids, please?
And here's the thing. Lingo Kids is the #1 entertainment platform for young kids with more than 4,000 interactive games, songs, and shows. Astronauts, wild animals, superheroes, dinosaurs. It's literally everything kids love all in one place.
So when they ask for it, you can actually feel good saying yes. Download Lingo Kids for free and start exploring today, or unlock even more amazing content with Lingo Kids Plus. And if you go with the yearly plan, you can save up to 60%. Just search Lingo Kids in the App Store or Google Play. Lingo Kids, everything kids love. You know, you could be adored by everyone and still completely ignored by your cat. Trust me, I know. But if you feed your cat Sheba, you can go from being ignored to truly adored in 12 days, guaranteed, or your money back. Sheba has a full menu of products, appetizers, entrees, treats, even a kitten's menu. It's so cute, so Sheba has a product for even the pickiest eater. Like Sheba Puree, it's made with bone broth, they're chef-inspired flavors, it's got a smooth and creamy texture that cats love, and contains no corn, wheat, soy, or artificial flavors. It's food that your cat's gonna love. To learn more, check out Sheba.com. That's SHEBA.com.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.